I call upon Professor Justin Zobel, Pro-Vice-Chancellor, Graduate in International Research, to introduce Ms. Natasha Mitchell, who has kindly agreed to deliver the occasional address.
This afternoon, the University welcomes Natasha Mitchell as guest speaker. Natasha is presenter of Science Friction, ABC Radio National's Science, Technology and Culture program and podcast. She is a multi-award winning presenter and a member of the Executive Advisory Board of Women in Science Australia. A graduate in engineering from Monash University and in science communication from the Australian National University, Natasha has received accolades internationally for her broadcast work, including the overall Grand Prize and 4 Gold World Medals at the New York Radio Festivals, 4 Australian and New Zealand Mental Health Broadcast Media Awards, the Urala Broadcast Media Award, and the Australasian Association of Philosophy Media Professionals Award. She's also served on the Human Genetics Advisory Committee of the National Health and Medical Research Council. Please join me in welcoming Natasha Mitchell.
Thank you, Pro-Vice-Chancellor, and honourable guests. And thank you also to the people of the Kulin Nation, their elders and all their new graduates today, as we gather on their land, and their ancestors were, of course, the first scientists here. And I just want to add that when British colonisers came to live in this place, they declared it terra nullius, nobody's land. This, of course, ignored the fact that the First Peoples had lived and sustained here for over 60,000 years, that they had complex knowledge systems. And as scientists, I hope you and I never forget that it was arguments made in the guise of science, eugenic rhetoric about race and heredity and interbreeding, that were used to justify the forced removal of Indigenous children from their mothers, fathers and families. And if your family bears those memories and you are here graduating today, then an extra loud, proud cheer for you. But to each and every one of you here today, congratulations. You have made it. You did it. That hard-earned bachelor's degree, that master's, that PhD, it's yours. You get to keep it. And I hope you're doing a little dance on the inside now. If I ran the show, we'd be pumping up the volume and I'd ask you to join me for a dance in the aisles. Congratulations also to your family and friends, your supporters who might be here today. This is their day as well. I hope you soak up their pride on your behalf. And this is why, in the few minutes that we have together, I want to talk about love, but I also want to talk about power. Because in my view, you in this room are one of the most important cohorts of scientists to ever graduate in the history of humanity. The choices you make, the challenges you take on, come at a turning point for the planet, our planet, its life systems and species. And it's a time where your formal training in science will need to be augmented by skills in listening and connecting and communicating and empathy. The knowledge that you have, scientific knowledge, is powerful. How you choose to use it from this very moment on is powerful. You might use it to do a good job, to get a good job, to have a good life, to make good money. These are all perfectly reasonable goals, but you might also use it to change the world and to help others alongside you change the world as well. You know, we now live in an era where powerful interests are being used to compromise truths. It's always been that way, hasn't it? vested interests have always found a way to control the agenda and serve their own needs, but those interests now have new tools at their disposal. Fake news is being promulgated as fact, photoshopped images as real, and Facebook's monetised algorithms now determine what stories we see or we don't see, what information we believe or we don't believe. It's extraordinary. We know that social media platforms help us connect in important and profound ways, emoji by emoji, like by like. They give us that little satisfying surge of serotonin, don't they? But right now, social media platforms are also being used to unseat governments, hack election campaigns, and spread untruths. And this, in my mind, is what makes your qualification in science in 2019 so vital today. Now, you might not end up being a scientist or working in a lab or running experiments, and I'm here to say that is absolutely fine. I quit a PhD in engineering back in the day to become a radio presenter, a broadcaster, a science journalist, and I haven't looked back. And in hindsight, of course, quitting can sort of sound like a strategic move, can't it? That's my excuse. It can also be about asking, well, how can I be most effective in this world? But here's the thing, I never, ever stopped using what I learnt studying science and engineering. And you too will carry that capacity. It's an incredible capacity to have. It's a unique capacity. This capacity to question everything, to be sceptical, to interrogate evidence, to be insatiably curious about the world, and to be open-minded. You're going to carry that capacity into everything that you do, and it will make you want to keep learning all your life. You won't be able to help yourself. It's the best kind of addiction, much better than Facebook. You know, we're also often told that science qualifications help drive the knowledge economy and economic growth. And sure, they do that. That's important. But they will also allow you to bear witness to the natural world and the other species who are eking out an existence alongside us, sometimes in dwindling habitats. They will help us understand and adapt to a world shaped by anthropogenic climate change. They will help you ask tough questions of politicians and others who fail to deploy evidence and data to inform their best policies. In fact, you have a rare and precious opportunity in my mind to take to the stage with your science. An opportunity, but it's also, I think, a responsibility. Last time I checked, earlier this year, around election time, only 7% of Australia's politicians had some kind of scientific training. It's this end of the, where are we, 2020? 7% of politicians have scientific skills or training. So I ask you, who's up for a career in politics? Finally and briefly, to love. Increasingly, our workforce is being fractionated. You probably know that all too well with your part-time jobs. Short-term casual contracts are the norm, from Uber to Airtasker. The gig economy is well and truly here, where you have all the freedom, all the choice, but none of the power, and often poor pay. So we can keep our heads down like good little worker bees, competing for the dollar and to pay our bills, or we can look up as science-qualified graduates, look up at the world around us and ask, why is it so? And how's that person doing over there? As scientists, we can be hard-headed in our analysis of the state of the world and of our data, but we can be compassionate in our actions. So what does a compassionate science look like? I think it means it's about looking at how you do science. Yes, there's the core of the scientific technique, but it's also about asking, who is my science impacting? Who is it helping? What is it helping? Who is it harming? Who is it serving? Who do you employ in your workplace? How diverse are they? Or do they look and sound just like you? Who has a voice? Who doesn't? What questions are being ignored in your experiments? What questions are you ignoring in your data? What answers are you ignoring in your data? My feeling is that the world is yours, and I can't think of a better training than the qualifications that you've got here at the University of Melbourne to prepare you for this world. And I'm excited to see where you take that training. I hope I meet some of you on your journey. Enjoy your celebrations today. Embrace your power. Use it with love. And hearty congratulations. Thank you.
On your behalf, ladies and gentlemen, I thank Natasha for addressing us this evening.